how you can get government contracts. In this video, I'm going to share with you ways that you can get government contracts right now for your established business and just eliminate all of that bureaucracy, that red tape that you've been wandering around, and finally take action. My name is Melinda 𝐘𝐨. I'm a government contracting advisor, expert, and strategist who has created a blueprint, a step-by-step blueprint to help my clients achieve over $4.4 billion in new contract awards. So I want you to know this as an anchor point. The federal government's total spending in fiscal year 2023 was approximately $6.2 trillion, with a $1.7 trillion allocated to discretionary spending. I don't know about you, but I actually had to look this up. $1 trillion has 12 zeros behind it. 12 zeros. Like you think about six figures, add another six zeros to that. That's $1 trillion. And that is set aside to do and give back to through government contracting. Now, there's a set aside for small businesses specifically of $178 billion. Often I get this question is, well, Melinda, I'm not a big enterprise size organization that I know you've worked with. Can I win government contracts? I'm just like a little low schmo, I'm like a little guy. Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to tell you how and why specifically in a second. There's also a set aside for disadvantaged businesses of $76.2 billion. And then that's about 43% of the small business set aside. So that's an additional money, a pool of money that's set aside. I mean, that's crazy to think that 43% is for disadvantaged businesses. This includes minority-owned businesses, small businesses, and also veteran-owned businesses. So there's an entire program for this set aside for you to win even more government contracts in addition to the ones that are advertised. Okay, so how do you prepare to win government contracts? I'm going to just go through my 5-step blueprint quickly so that you can get an idea of this. Make sure you have a pen and paper, and you might need to rewatch this again just to catch everything. The first step is to prepare to win. Now, if you plan to fail, or excuse me, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You fail to plan, you plan to fail. Benjamin Franklin said this, and he could not be any more true. How many times have you thought about something and you never pulled the trigger on? How many thoughts that you had and it was like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and you never created a plan? Or maybe you had a goal, you had a specific goal outlined for the vision of the future and never created the steps to accomplish and achieve that goal. It makes it really hard to accomplish that goal if you're not clear on how to develop a plan. So this is the plan. I'm going to give you the plan right in this video for absolutely nothing, for free. So what do you offer is the number one question that you should ask yourself before you even look at opportunities out in the marketplace. What do you offer that has proven results? Now, there are 3 ways that you can bid. You can bid as a prime, which means that you own the contract. Like when you get awarded, you own the contract. You are responsible for the contract. You can sub it out to people, and you can also do the work yourself. There are ways that you can strategically set it up, but that's based off your past performance, your experience that you're going to use to win government contracts. Does it need to be exactly like for like? No, there are definitely ways that you can strategically position it, set it up so that it is comparable, and not every time, but there are definitely a lot of times where you can do that. The second way to position yourself to win is as a subcontractor. So prime is owning the contract. A subcontractor is under the prime. Someone else owns the contract and you're working under them to deliver that project. The great thing about subcontracting is that there's no limitation to who you subcontract with to get the award. So say, for example, there are 4 primes that are going after this opportunity and they're bidding on this opportunity. If you position yourself as a subcontractor to all 4, well, the guaranteed chance is that you're going to win because someone of the 4 that have bidded you will win, so you will win. So this is definitely an advantage of being a subcontractor. The other advantage of being a subcontractor is that you get to use that experience on your proposals, in your bids in the future, and you can reference as you've done the work because you have a specific scope of work that you did perform that create that past performance that you need to become a prime. All right, so the last strategy that I'm going to share with you, and these are the primary three, there's other ways, but these are the primary three, is middleman. So middleman is kind of like a project manager. It's kind of like a dispatcher, if you will. So they're out there looking for opportunities, and then they will source all of the services, the products from other companies, other vendors to deliver the project with a percentage, a cut in the front end of that deal. And there is a strategic way to do this. There is a legal way and there's an illegal way to do it. So you want to make sure that you're doing it properly and setting it up so that you're transparent. It's the number one challenge with middlemen contractors is that they are not transparent with their information. You want to be transparent with the government. Now, step number two, after you prepare to win, is you target to win. So who is buying what you're selling? Now, the only way to find this information out, there are hundreds of opportunities advertised on a daily and a weekly basis. So there is no way for one person to know all of the opportunities that are available. You have to go and look it up yourself. So I'm going to share with you how in two simple steps. The first step is you're going to look for your NAICS code, NAICS, Google NAICS code here in the United States. That's what it's called, a NAICS code. If you are anywhere else beyond the United States, there is something similar. It's going to be a way to categorize goods and services for your government. So you can Google that or search that in your search engine to find that information out. Typically, you'll find that on the procurement websites or purchasing websites to find out your categories. But here in the US, they're called NAICS codes, NAICS, and that code is going to be a very, very valuable element. You're going to know this code, but like the back of your hand after a while, because you'll put it on just about everything related to doing government contracts. Now, once you have your code, you're going to find that on the NAICS website by going to the Census Bureau and NAICS code. You can actually just Google NAICS, NAICS. It'll pop up immediately, and it'll be at the U.S. Census Bureau website. You'll search by your service or your goods, and it'll populate all of the NAICS code. I recommend, if you are starting out, you've never sold to the government before, to just select the top three. We can always go back and add more NAICS code in the future. So with that NAICS code, you can go shopping, if you will. So you can go to sam.gov, you can go to your state and local procurement office websites, and you can look for opportunities by your NAICS code. Now, an easy way to do this in a consolidated manner for federal only is to go to usaspending.gov, usaspending.gov. This is where you can search through different fiscal years and actually identify two things that I really recommend you look at is the budget and the consistency of spending for your NAICS code. So sometimes there are contract terms that last for 2 or 3 years. Wouldn't that be nice if you want a contract for 2 to 3 years long? But then there are contracts that are shorter. So you want to make sure that you understand how these contracts are, what's the cadence of them and how large are they, and also who is winning them and what is the scope of work. A lot of information is on the usaspending.gov website, so you'll definitely want to take a look. Now, once you've found and you know what you're selling that the government is buying, the next question is, what is the problem you're helping them solve? Now, you might think to yourself, well, what do you mean? I'm providing my services in exchange for money, Melinda. Well, there's a bigger thing that you need to look at. You always want to follow the money. Follow the money is key to government contracting. This is how you can strategically position or show yourself before the opportunity is even created, is even envisioned, is to know where the money is flowing from. So following the money, what are the trends? What are the changes in the marketplace? And what are the problems that your buyers, the specific agencies that are buying what you're selling that you found on usaspending.gov, what are they buying it for? Is it maintenance? Is it to grow, sustainability? What are the specific missions, the purpose, the vision for the future that you're helping them accomplish? I don't care what you sell. You could sell bread. You could be a cleaning company. You could be a landscaper. It doesn't matter. There is a purpose for what you sell, and you want to find that out. You know how to speak at that level. Now, you can find this information out on their website, look at their social media. This is going to be prominent because this is how they communicate out to the public what they're focused on, what they're spending tax dollars on. So that needs to come back out in a form of a message. When you find out this information, you're not going to position yourself as the hero. You're going to position yourself as the guide. This is a reference to The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell, where he talks about there are several characters in the hero's journey, and the two prominent ones are the hero and the guide. So think about like a Star Wars movie or the Lord of the Rings series, like just thinking about those characters, there's always a hero who is supposed to accomplish a goal, accomplish a thing, and then there's a guide that helps them accomplish it. You are the guide. You always want to position yourself as the guide. So thinking about that, do your research. What are the relationships and how can you create relationships with the hero, with the agency, what are the results that they're looking to accomplish? What is the journey? Where are they going within the hero's journey? Step number 3 is to strategize to win. So how do you plan on delivering it? You have your services. It's not going to just be a straightforward number. In most instances, it may or may not be. But you always want to make sure that you're positioning yourself as the best of best, the authority in your industry. So how do you plan on delivering? It's considered a project approach or methodology that you'll see in an RFP that they'll ask you, what is your methodology? What's the project approach or your system? This is a way for you to organize your system. If that's how you're selling your services now, this is the system, and this breaking out your system in terms of like, well, why do you do this and why do you do that? What is the value of the system? Everything of high value in the world, on this planet, in existence, runs on a system. Think about a solar system, your digestive system in your body, your fuel system in your vehicle. These are systems and they have value, have an exorbitant amounts of value that are tied to this thing. So what does it mean to have this value? What does the system do? What is your methodology, your system, your approach do to solve the problem? What does it look like? It's almost like writing the books, the chapters within a book that leads to the conclusion of the story. And we already know what the conclusion is because that's the goal and the mission of the agency. So now you are the guide who is going to help them get there with your skills, with your services, your talents, your past performance, your experience. And this is how you start building that strategy. Now, how do you tell a captivating story? You want to tell it from the minds of your client, the agency, the contracting officer, what they care about most. Now, this is where most businesses go completely wrong. They think they need to include like all of their awards and tell them how amazing they are. But to be honest, the government doesn't care. They care about just a few things. Have you gotten results? Can you help them? And can they afford you? Because they have a budget and you want to make sure that you are doing your research during the target phase before you get to strategy. This is going to set you up for success. What makes you unique? This is called a differentiator. What makes you unique? What makes you stand out? Now, your system is going to do a large part of this if you do it right, but there also needs to be something that makes your team unique? Who's delivering the thing that's going to set you apart from all of your other competitors? It's going to be your system. It's going to be the people. It's going to be the places, things like that. We're going to dive into that in a second with the next step, submit. This is step number 4, submit. There's 5. So make sure you're making space on your notepad for this. Submit to win. So what are the ingredients so that you can win? Like, what are the ingredients do you need to have to include for clarity of the system? So what key ingredients do you need to include for clarity of the system? When you explain your system, the way you do things, are you explaining it as if you're talking to a colleague or an associate in that industry, or are you explaining it as if the person you're talking to has no experience in that industry? Hear me clearly. I have had experience helping my clients win billions of dollars in revenue. Okay. I have helped my clients increase their existing win rate in government contracting. I will tell you right now, I'm not even hesitating. I am telling you with a pause that this is extremely important in your proposals. If you assume that someone on the reviewers panel understands your industry, you are going to score lower. It doesn't matter if they do exactly what you do. It doesn't matter if this is just common knowledge and terminology. You want to break it down so that it's simple for every person on the panel. This is so important. This is so important. So say, for example, you have, if you're in SaaS, if you're, you have a software that you want to sell to the government or, lease it, or you want to build it for them. And you talk to them in SaaS speak, in technology speak, because one of the panel reviewers is really high in SaaS. Like, they are just the SaaS kings, right? And your entire proposal is positioned to speak to that one person. And you kind of default to just focusing on that one person. I guarantee that your score will be lower than everyone else, even if you are the best option. Why? Because your solution needs to be delivered not to that person, but to everyone else. And so you want to make sure that it is clear. There's clarity. And it's from a perspective of, I don't know anything about software as a service, and I definitely don't know about the software you are proposing you will develop. So you want to break it down to make sure that every single person that's on the panel and every single person that will be affected by your solution understands how you are delivering the solution. The less explanation after the proposal, the better. So you want to make sure it is clear what you're doing. What value? So the next question is, what value does each ingredient provide the client? Now, when you're going through your system and you're explaining your specific system and how you're going to deliver it, and the other elements of your proposal, like the people, the places, the projects, the price, and the process, this is important to make sure that every single ingredient is intentional to deliver value to the contracting officer, to the agency, so that they may solve the problem they have. Now, a lot of times people will just overlook this, say, I'm just going to include the resume, they'll figure it out, or this is how I say it. You always want to write the proposal in terms of their language, how they speak, how they phrase it, how they organize it, because that's who is going to be understanding it. It's kind of like going to another country and expecting them to speak English. It's just they have their own primary language. So you want to speak their language and interpret everything for them so it's easier for them to understand. The last step of the 5 steps is track to win. You want to track all of your opportunities. Now, I know a lot of people who actually past clients who are submitting dozens of proposals a month, and this is amazing. Congratulations, they are following the steps, but they forget to track or they get lazy at tracking. Now, consistency is always a challenge. I get it. I'm there. I totally get it. But tracking is key in winning more contracts that you don't even know they're there. Now, I'm going to tell you something. You want to know the answers to these 4 questions is, why did I score high or low in this section? This is important so that you know how to improve. The second question is, what did everyone else score in each section? This is going to tell you what the government liked best and why. And then the third question is, how do I improve? Now, you might need a little bit of feedback from the client, and this is where you will request a conversation, like I can talk about this in my masterclass, but a debrief so that you could review the proposal and get their feedback. And last question you want to get answered is, are there other opportunities to win after award? Now, besides winning the award or not winning the award, no matter how it turns out, you want to look at this objectively and really consider, is there something that's on the table that you could potentially be awarded that might not be advertised? That's correct. So there are more than those that are advertised online that you might not know about, that no one knows about, and that you might be perfectly positioned for because you proposed, because you bid it. And you always want to put your best foot forward. You don't want to just focus on the end result of like, oh yeah, this is a fast track to, schedule a call or a meeting with them. You want to be strategic and do your very best to find the best fit for your business, because there's plenty of them. Now, there are other opportunities that don't necessarily have to be advertised. They're called sole source contracts. Small business set-asides. There's additional small business set-asides, smaller contracts that can be easily paid with a credit card. Actually, agencies have like little, not credit cards, but debit cards that they could just swipe and pay you in real time. Agency-specific contracts that don't necessarily need to fall within the parameters of an official advertisement that needs to be publicized. Pre-qualified vendor list. This is the speed dial list, y'all. This is where you're trying to get on, because here's the thing. When anything changes, when there is an urgent need, when there is a demand, a last minute change, a modification, you want to be on that list. That list is the go-to list for government agencies. Now, there's other things like IDIQs, or indefinite delivery contracts, and their task orders under those IDIQs that you can find out. Research and development contracts, discretionary awards, and urgent and emergency contracts. So many opportunities. Your goal at the end of the day, out of all of these 5, is to get on that speed dial list, because if you're doing these 5 steps properly, the government knows you and they know how to use you. Do you want to sell everything under the sun? I wouldn't expect it, because you're not positioning yourself as an expert. And when they need an expert and they need to hire someone, they're going to look for an expert. They're not going to look for someone who may be able to do the work. They're looking for someone who does the work and does it well. So I hope this video provided you a lot of value and gave you all the steps you need to take action on government contracts, how you can get government contracts right now. If you're looking for more information and a deeper dive into all these 5 steps, this blueprint that has resulted in over $4.4 billion for my clients, click the link in the description to register for GovCon Millions Masterclass. This is where we break it all down and you get an opportunity to ask me specific questions about your business. It's so cool. So just click the link down below and I'll see you in the masterclass.